So, welcome, guys. So let me see. If you guys have read the book, or if you guys have the book, I don't need you to really read in depth for chapter 1. All I really need you is to get to the bottom half, which is learning how the interface works, as well as just the general platform. And I believe there are a couple things that you do learn in chapter 1, such as, I think you learn how to insert and delete cells. So we'll go ahead and go through the whole, not the whole chapter, but again, like the other half of the chapter. Because I believe the beginning of the first chapter, it just introduced you to the additions of Microsoft and, you know, a few things from there, such as understanding how the difference between the editions are, what features they have. Other than that, you could skip all that part. It's not really relevant just because, Microsoft Office has become very universalized, as in everyone uses it, and it's not many things have been really changed between the different types of editions. Maybe there are a few things that you can do a lot quicker. I know that there is this one feature that you can do is called the flash fill, which actually it's actually a new feature on the 2013. So you guys are pretty lucky if you have any other models after it. But yes, because actually there's if you do not know, Excel is a lot like learning IT, right? There's codings that you need to learn, or HTML is what the word I was looking for. It's kind of codey. You need to know certain formats, certain things that you need to type in for the Excel to convert it and translate it into what you're asking of it. And with the newer softwares, it actually eliminates those things, so you don't really need to know how to do it. But other than that, let's go ahead and dive in and let's look at the interface, okay? So very basic general things that you should know. Okay, so at the very, 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 very top, it's pretty straightforward, right? You have what's called the ribbon right here, and they're grouped by certain features or certain things that you are currently looking for. So for example, this is the basic styles that you can look for as far as like fonts. This one's for alignment, okay? And then this one is for number formatting, okay? And then, styles that you can apply, etc., etc. So with each tab that you have here, it gives you another set of ribbons and functions that Excel can do for you. For example, you can insert a picture if you'd like. You can insert a graph, a table. You can insert lines if you want to. So pretty straightforward. And then, you can insert, you could actually draw on here. You can format how the page looks. You can change the margins. You can change the orientation. You can do a lot of features when you just go ahead and dive down in each single option you have available here. But for majority of most accounting, you're more likely going to be using the home page and maybe inserting either a table or inserting a picture, and then probably page layout, because it's important on how you want your tables or your things to look like. The other features, they're not as commonly used. Just because, like I said, again, when we're dealing with accounting, it's very, very, very boring. Not very many things are very into there. It's very standard, straightforward. You're just getting a table and that's it. Whether you design it, make it colorful, it doesn't really matter. But as far as functionality wise, you're only going to probably most likely use those 3 tabs, okay? Oh, and also the most important one is formulas, okay? Now, I will go, again, chapter 3 is going to be talking about all the formulas that you will be looking at and how you construct them, as well as what are the key ones that you should either memorize or just know by heart when it comes to accounting. So yes, again, this one's also an important tab, and you're more likely to look through this. But again, yes. So again, you're just building tables. Nothing too exciting or nothing too advanced when it comes to that. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so this is called the ribbon bar, ribbon task, whatever, menu bar, same thing. It's the ribbon. And yes, you can customize it. And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay. Bless you. Down below, you're going to see this little tab area right here on the bottom left. That is just to, so you can have more worksheets in a workbook, which we'll talk about in a second. And then right here on the right side is going to be like moving across the cells, as well as what kind of layout you want to look at your stuff with. You can either do like layout like this, where you could just see just the little squares. You could do page breaks layout. Pretty straightforward things. And then lastly, you have the zoom feature. Okay, now the zoom feature is pretty cool. You can, if you're looking at a specific information, whether you need to look at the whole table or you need to look at just a specific kind of information, you can zoom in, zoom out. If you go to, if you want a quick, easy access, you could just slide this bar across left and right just to kind of either bring the information closer to you. You could also go to this little box right here, which allows you to either you want it 200%, 100%. Like if you do 200, it's going to make them pretty big. Okay. Those are the options there. And I believe your book shows you one more. So if you want to, you can select the information that you want to look at. And you can also be able to just view only that content. So right here, zoom to selected information or selected cells. And here, this is the focus of the entire sheet. Now, it blows it up really big for you because that is the only thing that you want to show on your screen. So that's a pretty cool, nifty feature. I generally don't use that one just because I like to see the whole table and not so big like that. Okay, so I tend to use the little slide bar just to adjust how I want to be able to see the information. So there you go. That should be perfect. Okay, but there's also nifty features there that you can do when you're dealing with Zoom. Okay, so yes, you can. For example, you can't see that number. Well, you can blow it up bigger just by clicking it there. Okay. All right, next is going to be your toolbar. Okay, so again, your toolbar is going to be, yes?
Can I use the FaceTime watching your
Yes, but I don't have the equipment to put the phone up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that I can view what you are showing. Sorry.
You will be able to see it after class on a video. Okay, just I guess listen, and if you have Excel on you, go ahead and open it up so you can kind of follow along. All right. So then again, this is pretty much your toolbar, but it's also your ribbon. So each group is your toolbar here. As far as let's say I need to change the font of this. This is where you would get all your stuff, just so then you can be able to change the fonts and whatnot, stylistic wise. Or if you need to merge your cells together, you need to change the formatting of each one. This is pretty much your toolbar right here. Actually, sorry, the toolbar is below. But yes, this is pretty much your ribbon here. All right. Last thing that I want to introduce to you is going to be your quick access toolbar. Okay, QAT for short. Okay, quick access toolbar. Okay, in older versions of Microsoft Office, this is actually going to be on the title bar. For us, it's green because of the new software layout. They wanted to make it look nicer. So for us, it's green, but for the older versions, it's going to be on a gray background. But yes, these are going to be your quick access toolbar. Okay, so what quick access toolbar is? It's actually dependent on your job and what requires of you to use frequently when you're dealing with Excel. Now again, with the newer Excel, most of the things that you use, especially for accountants, will generally be already on the ribbon for you. Okay, and you can customize the ribbon to your liking. Let's say I don't use this, I can get rid of it. Let's say I do use this more often, then I'll keep it. So the quick access toolbar is just for, let's say you don't want to have to search for it, or maybe it's not on the home page, then yes, you can utilize it right here. So instead of having to go through this and then clicking, oh, I'm going to have a table, you can go ahead and set it up here and be able to access it there. Now, there's two ways you can customize your quack bar. You can just right click it and it says right here, customize quick access, or you could just go to file and go to options, and then you're going to get this little nifty window that says here you want to customize your ribbon or you want to customize your access toolbar. Okay, so again, read the book. It will give you details on how to set this up. But then again, like I said, as for an accountant, majority of the little quick little icons that have little functions or tasks that you can do, majority of the functions you can just find on the home page. Believe it or not, it's not very difficult. So again, yes. So as far as customizing, the only thing that you would customize is pretty much taking out features that you don't really use as often. Okay, and you'd be able to do that by, you can select what you want, maybe based on, it could be a menu item or a, based on a menu item or based on a specific topic, and you can either add or remove. So again, if I were to do, the quick access bar, it will just let you do that. So again, here, if you want to customize your ribbon, okay, based on whether it's per section that you want to do, or if you want to access all of the commands, you'd be able to do that. So here, if you do this, it's going to be in alphabetical order on all the functions that Excel can do. And you can either format it, whether you want to add it or remove it. You can either create a custom tab, or you can, maybe you want to change the main tabs, right? So main sections would be like, okay, what about insert? I want to be able to insert this, right? I'd be able to click one of these things but it has to be for the actual specific group. Again, just looking at all the different functions or tasks that you can do. Maybe you need a quick formulas tab on the home page. You can do that as well, and be able to just customize your ribbon that way. Okay. Yes, and I just wanted to show you how you'd be able to go there and how you can customize it. But again, not QuickBooks, Excel, you have majority of the functions and stuff just on the home page itself, okay? All right. So, so that's how you're able to change the formatting, the layout. And again, if you apply it to Excel, when you save your format, your ribbons and whatnot, wherever you go, whether you open up a new Excel, it's going to keep the same settings throughout until you actually change it. So it doesn't become fresh every time you open a new page. It's the toolbar and the ribbon are going to be fixed after you make changes. Okay, so that's pretty cool. You know, you don't have to frequently change it every single time, just so then you have your workbook the way you want it. Every single time you open a new workbook, it's going to be the same throughout once you make that changes. So yes, and if you have 365, the reason why it keeps its changes is because you're always logged into your account wherever you are on there. So as far as the 365, it pretty much gives it into the Microsoft iCloud to save the settings for you. So that's what's cool about that. Okay. All right. Other than that, that is what the interface really does for you as far as what it looks like. Now, a few things I'm going to introduce is going to be how the layout and how each cell function works. So an active cell is going to be the one that you select, and the way that you can indicate it or locate it will be a dark border around the cell. So when you're in an active cell, you can type whatever you want in it, okay? And you can only type in it one cell at a time, okay? You can't do multiple cells at a time. That would be awesome, but you can't. You can only insert one piece of data at one time, okay? And how these cells are called is, this one is the very first one. So how it is going to be named is, it's going to be the letter that you're associating in. So this is the column A, column B, column C, column D, okay? And every row is going to be associated with a number. So this would be column A, row 1. And that is what this cell is called. So understanding the cell names, because I believe in your book it also shows you, it also tells you how to enter in the data using cell names. So understanding that each depending on each row and each column that you are will be the associated cell name. So in this case, I have A1 free, I have A2, I have the whole A column completely empty, but my B column is filled in with information. So I have B2, B3, B4, and B5. Okay, all of those are filled in, already filled in with information. Okay, so that's what's pretty cool about that. Now, the next thing is going to be how to create. Actually, I'm gonna probably leave that to the last part. Creating a workbook and creating the sheets, etc., etc. But let me go ahead and go through just how to continue with the cell references. So again, if for any reason you type in all your information, right? And you can see that when you're looking at this, all of it's all cramped. If you look at this column carefully, not all the phone numbers are visible. So what you can do is you're going to manipulate and change the width of each cell, or depending if you want all of it to be done, then you're going to go through either the row or the column or the row. Okay, for this example, my first name, I kind of want to make it a little bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top, and if I notice my little mouse, okay, so right now it's like a big plus sign, right? And if I go up, it's going to tell me, do I want to select all of them? All the way. That's selecting a whole column, okay? But I don't want to select a column. I want to make the width of the column bigger. So what's going to happen is if you slowly go up to the top to B, right? If you just select it, that's fine. But notice that the black arrow down, if you move across on the right side, you're going to see it's going to become a cross. Once you get that, you're going to click and hold and be able to drag it either left or right depending on how much sizing you want to be. And if you look into the little bubble, it tells you the exact measurement of the width of the cell that you're trying to create. So if I go for 17, then it's bigger. If I go for smaller, maybe then it's 10. All right, I think I want to make it just a little bigger like that. And that's how you do it. All right. So again, for the phone number, you'd be able to do the same thing. Now, there is a shortcut to that. Maybe you just only want to see just enough to see the information just visible, right? What you can do is you can actually go back to that line, okay? So let's say I want to make this cell just enough, just big enough. What I can do is when I'm at my black arrow going down on the letter D, I'm going to go ahead and wait till my cursor becomes a plus sign. So scroll all the way to the right till I see my plus sign. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click it. If I double click it, it's going to make the width of the cell exactly enough for you to see the information. Okay? So that's a shortcut in case you don't want to have to go through every single one and drag it out like this. Okay? I just want to be able to see everything. So this one, I'm going to do it for here again. Double click, expands. This one is probably going to shrink. See? Shrink. And then this one is probably going to shrink as well. Yeah, shrink. See? So I'd be able to just double click it and you'd be able to either expand or decrease my cell width. And you could also apply that to the rows as well. Okay, so it's pretty cool to know that shortcut instead of having to click and drag and do all that information. Now again, let's say just appearance-wise, you don't like how clustered everything is, then yes, you would have to manually go through each one and be able to customize the width and the length of each cell manually. You would have to do it by hand like that. Okay. Now, other things that, let's say you filled out your table and then all of a sudden you forgot to insert a column. You forgot to say, oh shoot, I have the city and the state and the zip code, but I have no address. What you can do is, if you're adding a row of cells, or a column of cells, what you can do is you can go ahead and you can go to the insert here, and you'd be able to find where to add the columns and rows over here, or I believe it's on the home page as well. You'd be able to insert right here in the cells group right here at the top of the menu. You can either insert cells, and when you press that drop down arrow, it will ask you questions. Do you want to insert just one cell? Do you want to insert a whole entire row? Do you want to insert a whole entire column? Okay, so it gives you options here. Okay, and it also gives you like direction on where you should insert the cells. Okay, so yes. Now there's also a shortcut to that as well. Okay, but you need to understand how this works before doing it. Now, oftentimes when accountants actually do this, I know for sure I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I press the wrong one and I end up having to delete it just to put in a new one. So what you can do is a shortcut would be if, let's say, I need to insert a row for, a column for an address, right? What I can do is I'm going to select the column, and what's going to happen is if I insert the new column, it's going to insert to the left. Okay, again, when I select the column, right, and I want to insert something, it's going to insert it to the left side. So I will show you right now. So if I go over here and I click insert, it will insert to the left. Okay? All right? Make sure you know that because it's important. Because sometimes, again, let's say, I wanted something to be on the right side. If you were to click D and you insert, it's going to go to the left side. So you have to be careful on where you want to put the information. Okay. And then you can just go ahead and type in the active cell. I'm going to say address. Okay. But in this case, that's not what I'm not shipping anything to anybody, or nor am I sending the mail, so I don't need it. So what I can do is I can select an entire, column, and I can delete it. Okay, if you can insert, you can also delete, and it gets rid of the whole thing. Now, if I were to, let's say, insert this, right, and I only select an active cell and I decided to delete that active cell, you're going to get a pop-up message saying, well, if you're only going to delete this one single cell right here, if you're going to delete E3, right, how do you want the rest of the information to do? Would you like it to shift up, shift down, shift to the left, shift to the right? It's going to ask you those kind of questions. So, for example, let's say I decided to just delete that one box and I say shift left, right? Only this information right here shifted to the left. But look what happened. Now everything that's in the information, it pulled to the left. So now I'm missing, all my information is out of order. It's not in the correct order. So you want to be careful on when you want to delete something, okay? And that you need to understand the difference between deleting and clearing a cell, okay? So in this case, I don't need this column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way to the top, and I'm going to go ahead and click that E. Once I click that E, it's going to highlight that entire column. And then I can right click it and delete it, and it's going to get rid of that entire column, okay? So yes. So that is what happens when you're dealing with entering and deleting, or inserting and deleting cells. Okay, you want to be careful on what you're doing, and if you're inserting individual cells, you want to be careful on how you're shifting the rest of the information. Now, if I were to have this in order, I can do that once I fill the table, so I'll show you how to do that later on. But let's say I forgot somebody in here, right? And if I were to create a brand new row, what's going to happen is if you select number 5, right, row 5, okay, all the cells in row 5, and I start to insert a row, it's going to insert above the row, okay? So you're recreating a brand new 5, okay? So you want, again, rules are, if you're going to insert a whole row using the shortcut, if you're doing a column, it will go on the left side. If you're doing a row, it's going to go right above it. So you want to make sure you know which one you're selecting, okay? And same thing applies if you are inserting just one cell. It will make a difference, okay? So yes, so that's what happens, what you can do for those cells and what you could do for information. So again, it's very, very common that you may forget somebody, or maybe it's supposed to be in alphabetical order and you messed up. So you need to insert rows or insert things in there. It's common accounting practices, okay? This is common for everyone too. Anyone that's doing data entry, okay? If you forget something, it happens, okay? Maybe you were counting how to make a table and you forgot a column. You just insert it easy and easily, right? Just understanding that rule, okay? Now, if you're not comfortable with that, or you're not quite sure or not understanding how that shortcut works, again, you'd be able to just go ahead and go up here into the home page at the top right where it says insert delete, and you'd be able to kind of do the drop down menu, and it can give you drop down menu, and it can give you the options on how you want your information to look like. Again, You may explore just so that you're comfortable with it. So again, I would say undo is your best friend. Okay? So that's it when it comes into inserting and deleting cells. Now, the last thing that was taught in chapter 1 is going to be merging cells. Okay? That is, I like to use merging cells for one thing. And in the book, it also tells you the same thing as two. It is mainly used to put labels on your chart. That's pretty much it. Now, what do you mean by labels? Labels can be anything. It could be a chart. It could be, I'm sorry, not a chart. It could be a title. It could be a subtitle, a subheading. Maybe this table needs to be labeled as something else, okay? If you didn't put a title on your table, that is exactly what merging the cell does for you. It allows you to group a bunch of cells and create a label on top of that. So for example, how you do that is you're going to select, you're going to look at your table, okay? I notice I use B, C, D, E, and F, and G, right? I use all of those ones, right? I didn't use A. So what I can do is I can select B1 and click and drag and just keep going to the right until I reach G1, okay? And what you're going to notice is that the way that Excel highlights is it's gonna make it gray. Once you got the stuff that you want to the cells that you want to merge together, you can either right click and select merge cells, which is it was here, I swear. Okay. You can choose to format it, the cell, and be able to select it there. Oh, and then, or you can use the shortcut up here to merge it. But if you can't, actually, I don't see it on mine. That is weird. Usually you should be able to. But if you don't, it's on your home page under the section for alignment, and it's right here. It's this button called merge and center. So this is your friend right here, okay? Once you click it, it's going to basically combine all of those cells together, and it's only going to be the ones that you highlight. So be aware of that. If you only select B and you click merge, it's not going to work. It's because B is already a separate one, okay? And then you can go ahead and type in a title. I don't know, customer info, something like that. Now, once you've done that, now there is an option where you can, unmerge it. But if you have something written in there, unfortunately, it would not work. It's going to give you an error message saying you have something in this cell. So what's going to happen is you're going to either have to clear it out, and then what you can do is you can unmerge it, and it will slice it up exactly how you had it originally. Okay. Now, I believe you can override that, and what's going to happen is your cells are going to be split really weirdly. It's not going to be even. Maybe you might have one cell that has the name in it, and then the others are like blobs. So you want to be careful on when you want to unmerge your cells. But again, if you do mess up, you can always insert a new row and just clear out that one or delete that one. So you have flexibility when it comes to be making those kind of small minor mistakes. So again, if I want to, again, I can just highlight. I want to highlight all of that, and I want to click merge the cells, and I'm going to go ahead and insert customer list again, or customer info. Okay, and there's my title for this table. Okay, and it links up B all the way to G, and it keeps my tables kind of tidy, but also like, you know, if you're looking for a specific table, you'd be able to find it by having this thing grouped together. Okay. Other than that, that is all that is taught in chapter 1. As far as that, now I do want to show you actually something that I find it could be useful. It could be also harmful to you as well. So let me go ahead and show you this, because when you're an accountant, right? You're more likely to have probably a gazillion workbooks open. Okay, so for example, if I have this, what is this? Retail. Oh, there you go. There you go. My retail worksheet coming up, or my delivery category. So these are the workbooks that were preset in the examples in the book that they gave you. Okay, let's say I have 3 of them open right now. It is going to be a hassle to have to switch back from one to another. And you actually have the option and capability to do that by going into the view section and be able to jump through. See, like here, switch to worksheet, right? You have the list of worksheets here that you can jump to, right? Now that's actually a lot. This is actually old school. Okay, old school way of doing that. Okay, now a quicker way to do that is if you have the brand new Windows 2008, I believe they started doing this. You'd be able to go down to your taskbar, and you'd be able to get to look at each one and be able to switch from there. Okay, that is the cool feature about the new Windows. It's not a Microsoft thing, it's a Windows thing, that you'd be able to go from sheet to sheet to sheet. Okay, and instead of clicking on them, you can view them to make sure this is the correct sheet that you want to work on, versus having to go through there and memorizing the sheets that you open, right? That's even more work to have to know what sheet that you open, because you don't get a preview. This one, you get a preview of it and be able to toggle between the sheets. Now, again, the one thing that can be harmful and useful, depending on what it is going to be the arrange all sheets, okay, or workbooks, okay? So again, we're going to go to view, and under view, you're going to have an arrange all, okay? So when I select that, it's going to give me this little window, okay? It's going to give me a window and to ask me, how do I want my windows to be arranged, my Excel windows to be arranged? I can have it tiled, which I'll show you each one, okay? So tiled is going to be, it's basically going to show you like this. It's going to give you a little grouping of each one, so you'll be able to access all the pages at one time simultaneously, okay? And this is where you can use the zoom tool to kind of show where all those information is, okay? And be able to toggle them all at once, okay? That's just one feature. Now I'm going to open this one bigger, and let's see what happens if I do it, if I were to arrange it horizontal, okay? It's going to basically have all your worksheets, so one at the top, one in the middle, and one at the bottom, okay? Now, I don't think this is very productive, especially when you have like 8 worksheets going on, okay? That's probably not the best way to look at stuff. Other things is going to be vertical. Vertical is you're going to have them all lined up vertically, okay? This is probably the best one to go for. So yes, if you have information, you want to tap here, and tap here, right? You'll be able to access all 3 worksheets, and this is probably by far the best way to work in multiple multiple workbooks at one time. The only downside is it only applies to the application that you are using. Meaning, if you have Microsoft Word open and you want to have that side by side as well, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to do that. Unfortunately, not even the new Windows can do that. Okay? I know that Windows 2008 allows you to do split screen, but I believe in the Windows 10 they got rid of the split screen. So yes, so that feature's been out for a while. And you'd be able to use like multiple sheets in one, multiple programs or multiple applications at one time. But in this case, this one only allows you to do Excel and Excel only. Okay, so here you have access to all three. The last one I wanted to show you is called Cascade. And how that one works is, let me go back to view. Cascade. Cascade, I don't think is very productive either. So what Cascade does is it basically minimizes the window for you so you can have access to all three, but you do have to either use the minimize button to get to view to the next page. So that's why I don't think that's very productive. Okay? Yes. So it just minimizes the page for you. All right. And I like, again, the best one to work for would be the vertical, to have access to all three worksheets simultaneously, and also for you to be able to enter in the data without having to switch to the next page or etc. etc. Okay, so yeah, so that was that. And I believe the another thing that we want to do is be able to maximize the window and for you to insert information. So again, if you were to minimize your window, right? If you go all the way to the top, you have three little things. You have the minimize button, you have the maximize window, and then you have obviously exit the program. Now, if you are planning to shrink your screen so you can have access to the stuff, or maybe you're in vertical view mode, what's going to happen is your ribbon is going to shrink as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the arrange all mode and go into vertical, and I'll show you what I mean. So if you go into here, if you notice, all of your ribbons are going to shrink. They're not going to be the same size that they were before, okay? And what's going to happen is how you're going to access stuff is you're going to, it's like a drop-down menu. So if you go here, you can go ahead and drop-down menu, and it will tell you, it will give you the options that were originally on your ribbon. But in this case, you're going to have, it's going to be a lot smaller. So if I want to, so again, if we looked at our previous one where we had more visibility of what we can see on there. So for example, if I were to the drop down menu, here it will show you exactly what the ribbon had originally. It will give you all of those options again, but in a drop down menu. So best way to utilize your pages would be working one at a time. I know it sucks, but you know, unless you have dual monitor screens to maximize the space and visibility, then you'd be able to access it that way. One thing is, this ribbon can be annoying, right? That takes up so much space. If I were to measure this, that's probably a good five rows I could have if I just get rid of it. And yes, you can get rid of it. All you need to do is you can go ahead and go into view and be able to change that setting to be able to show you, to show the bars and whatnot. Okay, but the shortcut I know is going to be Control Control F2, I believe. Sorry, no, it's Control F1. That's what I thought. Oopsies. So it's going to be Control F1. And here it shrunk up my entire thing and it lifted my whole entire thing. All right, so it allows you to maximize your visibility as well as utilize your space, your area, your workspace. And how you can toggle for those to come back is you just tap on the tab that you want. And let's say I want to make this, I wanted to make my title bold, right? I would access it right here, click that little bold area, and then it should just disappear right away, just like that. But if you're the kind of person who frequently uses your ribbon and you think that's kind of defeats the purpose of why you have a ribbon, then you can go ahead and toggle it back by doing Control F1, okay? Your function key at the top of your keyboard, Control F1, and it'd be able to pull back your ribbon again, all right? I like to keep my ribbon visible just because I do make changes here and there, and it's nice to have it readily available whenever I need it at the top of my window, okay? It's your preference on how you enter data as well as are you entering and fixing your data at the same time. Generally, that would be the best way to do it so you avoid your errors. And yeah, that's pretty much what you learn in chapter 1. And then last thing you're going to also do is you're going to have to learn how to insert new sheets, which is pretty straightforward, right? If you're going to have a worksheet or in a workbook, it's best that you consolidate or even just have as many worksheets in one workbook. That's probably the most productive, I think. Okay, so unless they're irrelevant or there's something completely separate, has nothing to do with each other, that's when you could be like, okay, well, I am not going to do it that way. So then that's when you create a separate workbook. So again, shortcut, easiest way to do it is you go to File and you click New. And you can create your workbook there. And then with this too, there's also templates and things that Microsoft Office has allowed you to do. So example, if you need to make a calendar, it's usually the first template because usually you use Excel for these kind of things, whether you make a calendar or you need to insert data tables, like you need to make a customer list, right? So those are preset things, but normally your first go-to is this because you have the capability to create the table how you want it, change the colors, change the styles, change the format. You have more flexibility and creativity when you are dealing with a brand new spreadsheet, okay? And again, in order to create a new worksheet, it's pretty straightforward. You could just go down to the bottom and right here down to the bottom on the left-hand corner under the toolbar, you're going to see this little circle with a plus sign, and you're going to go ahead and tap that and notice that my sheet appears right in between the middle of my chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now, if you want to rename it, you can double click it and type whatever you want in there. I'm going to go ahead and write chapter 3 for fun. And the great thing about being able to move it, you can either do it the manual way or the shortcut way. Shortcut way is you click and hold and drag wherever you want to put it. And if you notice, you can see this little triangle, and it says, well, you want to put it in front of chapter 1 or you want to put it behind chapter 2. And once you said, I want to put it here, you just let go and it moves it there automatically. Now, if you go into your book, it's going to tell you how to move it manually by, you can either check it out here or you can actually format it when you open up that format window. You'd be able to change the way it is. But the shortcut way is just click the sheet that you want and move it there. Okay? Easy. Nothing complicated about that. Okay? And that's going to be very useful, especially when you're creating a whole bunch of worksheets into your your workbook when you are doing multiple multiple things or multiple records that you need to keep track of, multiple tables. It's going to be useful to just understand how to do it that way. Again. Okay. Now, this is the table I'm talking about. Okay. If you want to, you can just manually select and move them over. You can make a copy of a sheet. So instead of, there are a couple ways you can actually do that as well. So let's say I made a sheet for chapter 3, correct? Now what I can do is I can just copy the information here from my cells and I can just paste it into here. The only problem is you're going to have to adjust and fix the length and the width of everything. Now, if I don't want to do that and I just want to make a flat out copy of this exact sheet, I can go ahead and click the one that I want and select move or make a copy. Now you're going to have this little window right here below that gives you the options that says create a copy. I'm going to go ahead and select that and I'm going to go ahead and click create. And what do you notice? You see that this is a chapter 2 copy, and it's identical to the exact one I just have in my original chapter 2. So I can make an actual physical copy without making any changes to it or any settings or anything that I need to manipulate it for. And then same thing, if you can add one, you can definitely remove one. And it's going to give you an error message saying, are you sure you want to delete it? And of course you want to say yes. And I just clicked rename, not remove. Delete. Okay, you're going to get an error message saying, are you sure you want to delete the content in here? And you say yes, delete. So that's how you expand and create multiple sheets in a workbook. Okay, so this is also useful in case you don't want to do the whole table, the whole view the table thing. You'd be able to do it. You'd be able to do it this way. You can have all the sheets right there, and all you need to do is just move along the line of what table information you want to click on there too. And with that, when we move into cell referencing, you can actually have multiple workbooks with multiple sheets and be able to copy the same exact information in each cell. Okay, so again, when we move into, I believe that's chapter 4, cell referencing and formatting cells. Okay, so that is it for chapter 1. Okay, then we move on to chapter 2. All right, chapter 2, it's a very short chapter. It teaches you basically how to enter information into Excel, and it shows you what you can do as far as the neat features that Excel has advanced for you to save some time instead of having to type in each cell. If they're the same cell, you'd be able to use the autofill tool to proceed with your with data entry a lot quicker. So here I have a preset information right here, right? I've already have a table set up just the way I like it, right? I already presetted a few columns that I like to use the autofill tool with, okay? So the first one is going to be called autofill, okay? So for example, that's going to be, let's say, where did I want to put it? I'm sorry? Oh, I know, but it will make sense when you see the video tomorrow. I mean, when you see the video later on. So this part, you're just going to have to just sit quietly. I'm sorry. Okay, so for example, month, okay? Let me go ahead and that's all I have to do, right? Let me go ahead and shrink this table just a little, or so I'd be able to see everything. There you go, perfect. Okay, so month, right? Let's say I wanted all of these clients that ordered something for me, they ordered it in the month of January, okay? And instead of having, so you have a few things you can do. You can type them all in, and it's going to populate this gray little bar saying, hey, boom, over here, look over here, we have January. Is that what you're typing? That is called autocomplete. Okay? Now, what autocomplete can do for you, it does save you some time because all you need to do is you click enter, right? Once you see the gray and that's exactly what you want to type in, then that's where you're gonna go ahead and validate the gray area. Now, sometimes, for example, I want to say June, right? It's gonna automatically populate that, but I don't want that. If you don't want it, just continue with the Lex letter and it should erase that auto complete for you. Now, what you can do is if all these people are from January, if you had just one from the top beginning, right? You can go ahead and be able to do the autofill tool, which is going to copy one cell throughout the entire cells that you choose to fill in. So what's going to happen is, if you notice, look very carefully, there's this little green square right there. You're going to roll your mouse over until it becomes a black cross with no arrows, right? Once you do that, you're going to click and drag to however many spots you want to go down towards. And it's going to copy all of everything that you've had in that very first cell. There is a shortcut to that as well. It's going to be, you're going to have to click, control, and then drag down, okay? That's just to make sure that it's going to copy January all the way down. Now, for example, right, if I didn't do that, all right, and I decided to just go ahead and just fill it in, and what happens is it's going to fill in all the months for you. February, March, April, May, June, July. But that's not what I want. Okay? I want them to all say January. So the trick to here is, instead of doing auto series and you want to do autofill, you want to click, control, and then drag. And it should be all say January. Okay? So that's the shortcut there. To manipulate what you want to autofill in your section, okay? But in this case, I don't need this at all, okay? So I'm gonna make sure I clear everything out from this worksheet. Make sure that it's all gone. Okay? So once I have January all filled in, I'm happy. And that is called auto fill. Okay? Now, again, the reason why we would use auto series is if you are doing numbers. Okay? So here, you do need to type in at least the first 2 or 3 numbers in each cell. And what you're going to do is you can make sure you highlight all 3. So it tells Excel that you want to continue in a series. You're going to go to that little green square again. Make sure when the mouse becomes a black cross or a black plus, you go ahead and click and drag, and it's going to automatically fill in the numbers for you in the sequence that you have laid out for it. Okay, so this is very good when you're dealing with check numbers. Okay. For example, right, I have check number 1501, 1502, 1503, and let's say, you know, it's a checkbook. You're going to have all the way to the hundreds or even, right? If you select that, you can drag that all the way down to how many cells you want to input, and it's going to automatically create that sequence for you. Right here, my check number 1504, 1505, 1506, all the way down to as many cells that you want to put it down for. Okay, so that's really cool about that feature. Okay, it's really nifty, and it's really cool when you are able to, you know, it's cool to help you save time on filling in your information, so you don't have to type in every single time. Okay, so that is that. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you is going to be the auto complete and the pick from drop down menu. Okay, so for this example, I'm going to make up a few items that this person has bought for me. I'm going to say they bought coffee mugs. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to say is maybe they bought a coffee press. Okay. Okay. Once I've done that, right, I have information, and I know that the information is going to be either or. What's going to happen is you can select the cell, so make sure that your active cell, okay, is on the empty one. And I'm going to go ahead and right click it, and then it's going to give me the option to pick from drop down. And once I do that, it's going to give me the option, do I want coffee mugs or do I want coffee presses? So that is one really cool feature about the autocomplete. And instead of typing it all in again, now I can type that in again, right? But in this case, because I've registered it, it won't allow me. So I could do this and say press. Okay, cool. But what I can do is I don't have to type in that whole entire thing. I could just go to pick from drop down, and I'd be able to select my coffee press that way. So that's a really cool, nifty feature that I like about Excel, is that you can create your content and be able to just select it so you don't have to type in everything word for word. Okay? So those are the 4 things that you learn as far as auto filling using the fill tool handle, as well as making it easier to complete your chart. Okay. The last thing that I believe that they teach you is called flash fill. Now this is a new feature that was actually introduced in 2013 and has been part of the whole Microsoft series. And again, I did mention this earlier. If it wasn't introduced in 2013, which, you know, for us, we're able to do it ourselves without the 2013 because we have the newer editions. But because you guys are learning from 2013, whether you're testing for it or just knowing the basic knowledge, anything before 2013, right? You're going to have to type in this as a formula, and you're going to have to manually insert it as a type of code. Okay, but Microsoft decided to say, well, why have to memorize what that code is when we can go ahead and insert this really easy thing that can save you a lot of time. So this is called the flash fill feature. Okay, so for example, I want to have the first name, middle name, and last name under the full name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually type it in. So I'm going to manually type in John M. Smith. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click to the next one. And then I'm going to go ahead and type in Liz. And what's going to happen is, boom. It recognizes that you're creating a pattern. And the pattern is you're utilizing the first name, you're utilizing the middle name, and you're utilizing the last name. So you're combining columns B, C, and D, and you're creating it into column E. And if you notice, it grays everything out saying, is this what you want to do? This is the flash fill feature. So it's pretty cool. And it's like, oh, well, dang, yeah, I'd like to have everyone's client's name on there. So you're going to just click enter, and it will fill in all the information for you without you lifting your finger. That is the coolest feature. That is pretty cool to Office 2013 and to the newer ones. This is going to save you a lot of time. Okay. And what you can do too is you can also apply that to anything that you want. So for this example, I'm going to type in Las Vegas NV 89126. Now, if I type in the next one, Fullerton, it should automatically populate that. Okay? Now, what if I do type that in and it's like this? It's not recognizing my pattern. What you can do is, if you go to your home, if you go, I believe it is under, I want to say it's under data. You should be able to flash fill this. It's not on the homepage for sure, but I'm going to double check my homepage just in case I do have it on there. So you can do totals here. It's under, I forgot what the title is called, but it's under, it only populates when you're trying to fix a cell. Okay. I forgot what that feature. I believe it's called design, and it's not apparently appearing on my worksheet here, which is weird. It should populate it the minute I want to fix this. Once I want to fix my information. But let me see if I'll be able to right click and flash fill it this way. That is weird. It was here yesterday. I don't know why it's not showing up. But if you read in your book, it should tell you the same thing. It should be under design. Under design. Let me see. Can you flash fill? Not under form. It's not a formula. Data. It should be under data too. Yes, it is. Okay. Under data. Okay. So when you're here and you want to flash fill this, right? Under data, you're going to have this little icon right here with the little lightning bolt. That is the flash fill tool. And I'm going to go ahead and be able to click that. And boom, it filled it in for you. Okay, so it's going to be under data, not design, data. And it's going to be the little icon with the little lightning bolt on there. Okay, so that's in case you can't, let's say you enter in new information and it's not going to fill in the information for you. You'd be able to go into the empty cell, go to data, under data tools, and click flash fill. Okay, so that is pretty cool. Okay, and you'd be able to do that. Now, yes, you would be able to apply the same way as far as doing flash fill. Now, let's say, for example, I didn't have a state. Okay, let me go ahead and clear this out. I didn't have a state. Okay, what I can do is I can go ahead and look at this information and be able to apply it here. Okay, Nevada, and then if it doesn't turn on, that's where you get to flash fill, and you'd be able to fill in the information for you there as well. So if you have a preset, like a whole combined information, you'd be able to separate them as well and be able to pick out the information. So it's going to look at your Excel, the information, where you're getting it from, and it's going to recognize that you're getting a pattern. And then it would be able to fill in the information for you. So yes, you could do vice versa. If I wanted to extract a specific detail from a bigger group of information, that's how you would be able to do it. Okay. And then lastly, the last thing that they teach you is how to create a table. Now there are two ways you can create a table. If you have a preset information, you'd be able to create the table right here. So we can go to create a table and boom, it would automatically create the table for me right here. And it's going to ask me, do I want the cell range to be this? And it said yes. Okay. Oopsies. Let's do that again. So here I want to create a table. It's going to tell me, do I want to start from A1? Yes. So here it creates the table for me. And if you look at these little drop down arrows, this is actually how you can sort and filter your data. Okay? So using tables is going to be your best friend because this is where you have multiple functions when you're dealing with tables. Now, if you have just a regular sheet and you just format it, you just put outline borders and whatnot, it's not going to do much for you. You are able to select the information and sort it that way, but it's not going to do as much as if you had a table, okay? So again, when we talk into filters and features like that, that's where this drop-down menu will come into play, and we'll talk more about that, I believe, tomorrow, okay? No, that's chapter 5. So Wednesday, all right? And then again, the third one would be by just manually inserting a table. It's going to ask you, well, where do you want to start it? You want to say, I want to start there. And how this works is you're going to drag it either down or you can drag it to the right, okay? So in this case, you can't go diagonally. It will not work that way. You're going to see how many numbers of columns you have. Yes. So let's say I have 8 G columns. It's going to create that many columns for you. And when you want to add the rows, that's where you're going to go click that little blue triangle and be able to drag it down, okay? And be able to create your table that way. All right, and same features apply. If you forgot something, you can always insert it, okay? If you need more lines, you can always insert it. So again, that is basically it. And we'll talk about styles tomorrow, I believe. Yes, styles. So changing colors, fonts, features, things like that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But other than that, that is what all chapter 1 and chapter 2 covers, okay? Pretty basic things. Understanding where to locate things. Also, the basics is inserting and merging cells is what you would primarily use in accounting. It is definitely something that you need to know, and I would rather you understand how it works and use a shortcut because this is something you're going to be doing every single day, and this is how you can, if you make your minor mistakes, this is how you can fix them with quick and easy. All right, let me see how much time we have left. Okay, so it's 11:06. There is one more thing I want to talk to you guys about real quick, okay? And that is going to be knowing and understanding, hold on, this is syllabus. Knowing and understanding quick keyboard shortcuts. Okay, especially if you're going into accounting, these will be your best friend. Okay, I would suggest for you to hold on to this. Again, it is located in the book. I believe it's like page 457, but it lists every single thing. Now, I don't need you to know every single thing. I just need you to know which ones are going to be the ones that you're going to be frequently using, okay? So, again, here would be how to change the formatting of each cell. That is definitely something you need to know because when I introduce you into accounting, currency, as well as the comma style formatting of cells, that's how you change how numbers look in your settings. And that is definitely something you want to consider when having the capability to toggle that. Again, it is on the home page under under the number style, so you can just change it that way. But it's also good to know that in case of need and you have your ribbon hidden, this is the shortcut. All right. So things like that. Dates. Dates is so important when you're dealing with accounting. Okay, whether you're a bookkeeper. Okay, dates is super super important. So understanding the shortcut to inserting a date would be very 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 useful. Okay, percentages as well, changing them into percentage format, right? That is very important. So one feature that I thought was really cool is instead of typing in the date, what you can do is, I believe date is going to be control semicolon is the date. Okay. And see, once I see those hashtags, that means my window is too small. So I need to make it wider. Okay? So the date is control semicolon. Okay? And then if you do control shift colon, it's going to give you the exact time as of right now. Okay? And it will leave it like that. So this is very good, very useful when you're doing invoices or POs, okay? You also want to timestamp it too, saying, oh, I bought this product exactly on this day at this exact time. So that means my shipment should arrive sooner than later, okay? So those are two really nifty features that I thought Excel did a great job of putting in here. So again, it's important that you have a date, and it's even better that you have a time. Okay, so again, that is control semicolon, and then for the time, it's control shift colon. Okay, so I think those are pretty cool to have. Again, you could just go ahead and look at all these details to try to figure out what you want to do, or how this can apply to you. Now, again, if you used Word before and you know those kind of shortcuts, Control Z is to undo, Control Y is to redo, Control C is to copy, Control X is to cut something, and then Control V is to paste something. Those are typically your main like general information that applies not only on Microsoft, but it also applies everywhere else. Okay, so for example, maybe you're online, right? You'd be able to do Control C to copy something and be able to paste it into a Word document. So not only does it apply to Microsoft itself, it also applies everywhere else. Okay, so those are pretty cool shortcut features that you should know, and if you don't know, it'd be great to help. It would help you a lot, especially when you're doing data entry. Okay. Again, go ahead and look and see if which one would actually work for you and which one would actually, maybe you need to work on. Now, here are some things that are not in the book that I think are very important for you to know. Is going to be number 1 is and the equal sign, okay? It is not in your book, and I don't know why. But that is the most important function you need to know, because what that does is it activates a function for you. Okay? It allows you to do cell references. It allows you to create your formulas right there. So the minute you put an equal sign, it's going to trigger that you want to enter a formula into Excel. Okay? So that's going to be a very useful key that you're going to be using. Other ones is going to be the enter button. Okay? Enter is going to allow you to submit the data, but it also allows you to travel downwards into your sheets. Okay? That is very important. Okay? Especially if you mess up and you need to get out of that cell, enter is your best friend to just be done with that transaction and then be able to go back up and fix that cell. Okay, so this is a very common one that a lot of students actually forget to do, is to enter, especially when you're typing in a formula, right? Let's say I want to do 25 plus 8, right? If I move to another formula, yes, it will do it for me. But just to ensure that I'm done with the cell, enter, okay? Now, let's say, what if I am all the way down to like down here, right? And I don't want to scroll all the way up to just get to get back to, I don't want to have to scroll up just to look at what the title is. The shortcut to that is going to be your home key, all right? It's going to be Control Home, and it's going to take you all the way back up to A1, okay? Again, that's Control Home. Now, if you don't know where your home key is, it should be to the right side of your keyboard. It should be in a section next to the backspace button and the enter button. There should be there should be like 6 keys that allows you to print screen, insert, delete, page up, page down, and then you have the home key. All right? All right, so explore your keyboard if you don't know, okay? But that's a really good technique, especially, again, if you're working with a business and they require you to enter so much information. That's the quickest way to get all the way to the top of your page. All right, and then other shortcuts such as Control-Shift down. Okay, so again, if you are trying to select information, you could do Control-Shift down, and it's going to copy everything in your table. Okay, again, you don't have to do Control-Shift down. You could apply it to Control-Shift right, Control-Shift down, Control-Shift up. You can pretty much, as long as you know which arrow that you're in the direction that you want to, you'd be able to highlight as much information. Okay, yeah. And if you need to copy something, a great indicator that you're copying something is going to be the famous running ants. Okay? All right. Now, let's say, I forgot something. You could just double click out of it and it will disappear. All right. So I want you to learn those short keys just because it does actually allow you to enter information a lot quicker, but also understanding these shortcuts it allows you to, it allows you to move with Excel in like a nice, smooth way. It allows you to have, fluidity when you're going into each account. So, these are the ones that I selected out of the book and also entered in things that you should know. So again, this is available on the Google class folder. It is also available in your book on, I think it's page 457. It's on the syllabus if you need a reference. But yes, this is definitely something I would encourage you to look up, study, because it will definitely help you in the long run, especially if you're using Excel. All right. Other than that, that is it for today, and we